Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I don't have a bingo. I'd like to get rid of my non-bingo-y tiles. I can play vying, but that's leaving A-E, which is very vowel heavy. So is there an alternative? Certainly I'd like to get rid of the V and the Y. Now how about Ivy? That keeps a better rack leave. 18 points. Vying 32. So I'm sacrificing 14 points to keep the G and the N. Well, I still prefer this play. This is much harder for my opponent to score off. This looks much better. I have G-ling and lignage. So if I can get either of those down, then the point sacrifice from move 1 will have been worth it. At the moment, both play in row G. Ivy takes a J and a T in front. I think gaveling is good, which would play through the V. Can't see anything through the Y. And eagling may be good as well as a 7. Now, my row G spot remains available, which is good. There's now a double lane open in row K. That's unlikely to be something I can take advantage of with this rack. So I think, well, do I go for eagling to stick the J here? No, because I don't want to have a front hook opening column 1. And does lignage play? No, so I think I just have G-ling across here, which is fine. I'm glad to have a bingo. Quite dangerous, this eye under the triple. The X could go there. G-ling, 64. Not good at all. Only one vowel and duplicate tiles, so it's going to be hard to sort out in one. Fortunately, there's quite a few open vowels, especially in G-ling. So I should be able to play through this. Good comeback bingo by my opponent. I'm now 2 points behind. Now, what about playing in row H through this E? I could play mend. That's quite good. I could play mento, keeping double D. I'd rather keep double T. It would be nice to split up both duplicates, but I don't think I can. So close to tendon. I would need 2 ends for that. I can't see anything better than mend. 34. Wow, loads of vowels. And quite bingo-y tiles. I've got the out prefix with ADIT. Can't see a 7 here, just looking around at the floaters on the board. A couple of L's are available, and an S. But I can't see anything. I've got no scoring tiles, so I'm going to struggle to score with this rack. Now there are 2 triple word squares available at the bottom left and the top left. Do I have anything at the bottom? That would be a 6-letter play. Can't see anything. Great. My opponent doesn't have an I, otherwise they would have played chi twice for 60. So that danger has now gone. What about a play at the top here? I considered the bottom first because I thought my opponent was more likely to go at the top. He hasn't. So what goes in front of F? I or O. And then it would be an A in front of the L. I haven't seen anything yet. That doesn't look promising. What about this? No. Okay, so I probably haven't got anything. Anything at the top or the bottom. What about in column 3? My A can go next to the F. I've got auto on my rack and outer. Neither of which can go. Do I have a double through this L? I think 2 laddie is good, but that doesn't get doubled twice. So I can't see anything. What about a play in column 7, sticking my I? Ah, well, I haven't seen anything yet, but look at this combination, INT for 24. I could certainly put an O after it. I'd like to play off the U. Can I do that? Where would that go? So that's 26. I think I will go with this. This is a balanced rack leave. It would be nice to get rid of the U, but I can't see a way of doing that. Well, more non-bingo-y stuff. However, I do have a K, which is a good scoring tile. Wow! Another bingo for my opponent. I'm now a bingo behind. I've got ochre in column 8 for 24. That's not very much. Can I do better? Just looking at the bottom of column 1 to see if I've got a 7-letter play beginning with U, or more likely an A. Now, what about autark? Autarky is good. I'm not sure about autark. I've got nothing which goes in front of the F. Nothing which goes in... Well, if I play in column 3, it's got to have both A's together. Can't see anything there, and I'd certainly like to get rid of the U. I don't have anything to go in front of into. I'm not sure about Cowra. So I'm looking to get rid of A, U, and K, and Orc is good. But I'm struggling to see anywhere for that. What about a play in column 6? 13 minutes on my clock, 52 tiles left. So what I could do is play cuter. It's not a fantastic score, but it's a decent rack leave, and it does sort the rack out. 27 points. Great, I draw the first blank, and that's a balanced rack. I should be bingoing here. Not many 7-letter lanes. Now what about column 1 beginning with M? M-A-U, M-O-U. 45 points for my opponent, so I'm 80 behind. So if I bingo now, I will be drawing level. What about a play beginning or ending with R? I've got Dartress, but that doesn't hit the triple. I've got the out prefix. So out read, out dare, read out. Can't see anything. beginning or ending with the R. I've got 12 minutes on my clock. Can't see anything beginning with the M. So at the moment, the best I've seen is Dartress. Well, I have readouts through the E, which would be better, and the D would get tripled. Should I spend time looking for a better play? What about a play beginning with F? Well, can't see anything. I think I'll go with readouts. Slightly dangerous sticking the S in open space, but I'm behind, so this may help me. And slightly dangerous putting a vowel over this premium square. Not great, but balanced and with scoring tiles. I can't see a bingo here. Just looking around for spots for my high scoring tiles. My Y can go above the A. I don't have anything for going in front of TE. I don't have anything for going in front of TE, so I can't play something like Hey across here, which would have been a big scoring play. I am half expecting my opponent to play at the bottom right. If he doesn't, my H can go underneath the U, but I don't have anything for going underneath the S, and that may be a problem for my opponent as well. 26 points for my opponent. That spot stays available, but I can't use it. My Y can go above the U, so I could play high. Let me see what this looks like. I certainly want to play off the H and the Y. I'm 30 points behind, but this is going to be going to draw me level. So although I'm obstructing this S, it's not definitely the wrong thing to do. And I think this is inhibiting my opponent from playing in the bottom right, although not eliminating the possibility. For example, a play of main could go in that spot for a lot. Now this rack lever is good, DENR. However, not too many floaters to consider. I note that row O is available for plays ending ER, but F and L right at the beginning are not fabulous as floaters. 9 minutes on my clock. Just pausing in case there's somewhere better. What about playing HYE up the top? So that's 32. Yeah, I think I'll keep the board open. I am behind. Let me keep that S open. High for 32. I could play Hey down here for 34. I think I'll go with what I've got. Not good, only one vowel again, which is pretty annoying. It's really restrictive in terms of what you can do when you've got just the one vowel, and you almost always end up using it, and therefore running the risk of repeating the rack type. Now, I'd certainly like to get rid of one of my ends. The rest of the rack is pretty good. I'm looking at this eye of flingers for a 5-letter play, which could open up a bingo lane in row D. I want to keep the board open, although I'm 2 points ahead. My opponent's on turn, so effectively I'm behind. Cinder doesn't quite fit. Well, I could play nicer. That's only 14 points, and it's putting a vowel underneath a premium square, which is probably too dangerous. Maybe I can open the board up a bit more. I note that my N can go in front of arc, but I have no vowels for going in front of TE. If I play alongside owl to try and open up bingo lanes, I'll be obstructing the floaters in outs. Only my S goes after F from my current rack. Now G takes an S, so My opponent hasn't really obstructed the bottom right. And only 16 points for him. Great. Now, something better than nicer. Diner. Same problem. Takes nothing after it. My N can go after Chi. Can't see a way of utilising that. So what about a play of lend across here? $14 points for nicer. If my opponent does use this spot, he'll be opening up row 6 and leaving alone column 15, and I'd quite like him to leave column 15 alone because I've got the D and the S for going after G, so actually this lure above the E may be just what I need. Not good. I would have add Vowson through an O. No O in open play. And I don't have a 6-letter play in column 15 either. We're dead level. What's my opponent done here? He's played X down here for just 21. Good, he's not zooming away. I'd like to play off my V and my W. So I play a Vor or Vow would do that. But is there anywhere for that? 7 minutes on my clock and 23 tiles to come. I need to speed up. Well, I can play Vow down here. And this is the plan. Okay, I'm taking out the bottom right, but the top left is open. My opponent's going to struggle to play here and block, although he might, and my rack leave is good. And I don't necessarily need to bingo, so I'm going to go with this. Horrible, still just the one vowel. This is really inhibiting my opportunities to score. 28 for my opponent. So I'm 28 behind, 18 tiles left. Where can I ditch the J? Can't see any way of playing here, but I'd like to keep that open. I'd like to ditch the J. Like Joe's is good, so I could play Joe's, just Joe's, or I could play Joe's and Jar. Be nice to score more for that. I could play Pan across here, keeping the J. 25 points. I'm inclined to play Jar. There's quite a lot of vowels to come. I may be fortunate, and I probably only need one vowel to really sort this rack out next go. Which is indeed what I have. There are two nice lanes as column 3 and row D. My opponent's changed. Remaining tiles pretty bingo-y, but he could have been swamped with A's or I's. 5 minutes on my clock. Now, in terms of sorting this rack out, I could play Plop. That might be pretty good, actually. Because if I draw an A, I'll have a good 5-letter set. 14 points, not good. But is there anywhere great on this board? This board has got bingo lanes, but not otherwise scoring points, unless I were to play in row D. So I could play Pep, but then I'm keeping 4 vowels. 24 points, but now I'm level, so I could be taking the lead. I prefer the better rack leave. Plop and Gip 14. Great. Ditones and Diff is good, so that plays in row A. Stonied is the anagram, that also plays in row A. Now, I've jettisoned the P's, which would have gone in front of into, so maybe I should have retained one of those. I don't have any bingos in row D, so it's just row A at the moment. Ah, I have hedonist. Even better. Fantastic. Well, again, I'm hoping my opponent will be drawn to the E, rather than the E of nicer, rather than row A. I'm now 10 points in front. Great, hedonist remains available. Bad that my opponent has bingoed, but at least I can come straight back. And I'm going to empty the bag here. And then we can see, as the dust settles, what the point situation is. So, hedonist, 96. And I am 47 points in front. Look at my opponent's rack. A complete rack of misery. Fantastic. And I've got a good rack. I've got batmen. Can't see anywhere for that, but I'm in a very strong position here. Just looking around for any floaters that could help me go out in one. I think that's going to be too much to ask for. B meant through an E. And that's really unlucky for my opponent, because the remaining tiles, if he could have had another bingo if he'd drawn differently. Certainly is a bingo lane in row B. I'm just wondering if I have a play onto AW. Now, what's my opponent provided here? Anywhere for batmen. Gosh, close. TAA, not good. 4 minutes on my clock. Sib is good and TAE is good. So I could play Beamer. Keeping NT. Looking at the remaining tiles, can my opponent go out with that? Well, the A, not helpful. So I don't think he can. Now, can I go out in 2 places with NT? I've got Nat through the A of Beamer. Do I have a second out? Well, maybe I don't. So I've got 3 minutes on my clock. Sim is also good. So instead of playing Beamer, why don't I play... Well, I was going to say Bent, but that would give my opponent autos. What about just Ben, keeping Matt? Then I would have Tam up the top, Tam across here, Tam down here. So this is unblockable, but have I given my opponent an out with Ben? It does take an S, but my opponent doesn't have a 4-letter S play, so I think I will go with this. Now I think Matt in row C is my best spot. 15 points. 11 points for Matt and Bent. Nothing on to AW. McCaw with a C. So Matt above the first eye of Ariest is my play at the moment. And not too many alternatives to consider. A thou is good, but I don't have anything ending ague. "12 minutes on my opponent's clock." Well, that explains why my clock has gone down so fast. My opponent has been playing quickly. Ben may not have been optimal, but it certainly does guarantee me the out in 2, which is what I was aiming for. Very hard to find the absolute best line. I can't see anything great for my opponent, which maybe is why he's taking a while. Okay, 12 points. UHS, not good. Off that comes. Let me get this down. Mat for 15. Just wait for my opponent to formally end the game. Which he does. And the final score, 410 to my opponent and 491 to me. A winning margin of 81 points. Quite a high scoring game. Let's see what I missed. It was me to go fast. I thought about vying, but there were alternatives. There was yeaving, veiny, well, and yeaving again. And I think probably, yeah, I think yeaving better than my play of ivy, although my rack leave was quite nice. Now this was my opponent's rack. He played yowl, and I had geeling. What I didn't see was a ledging, K8, okay, through the L, but opening up column 15. However, 6 more points, so possibly better. My opponent's rack, yeah, if I'd played a ledging, he would have had flingers in column 15. He has it in column 2 for a lot less. My rack, now I had a series of racks with just one vowel, and I struggled. So, fortunately, mend was available for 34, and that does look fine. My opponent plays chi, and this was a horrible rack, no scoring tiles. And in the end, I played into, and that looks fine. I thought there would be obviously better plays, and there aren't. My opponent has a great rack and has Herbus for 87 points, and now has got a good lead of 60 points. I do have more vowels, but this is not bingo-y. And I play cuter, and again, that looks pretty good, although I didn't think it was optimal at the time. My opponent continues to steam ahead with dozer, and now I do have a good rack. And I played readouts, and again, that's best. I was expecting something beginning or ending with the R or beginning with the M. There was no such play, so readouts is fine. Horrible rack for my opponent. That's where all the vowels are. He plays cos, and now I have a balanced but non-bingo-y rack. Rye, A3, Rye and Phi, quite nice. I played Hay at A3, and I actually I played it at 1A, and I prefer that. I think Rend is a better rack leave than Dean, and it's better to take that triple than open up the 9-timer. And it's not so much the danger of a 9-timer, but the opportunity my opponent's got to score well off one of the triple word squares. Playing in the top left means he can only access the one in the middle with a bingo, which is unlikely. My opponent plays G, and this was a horrible rack. I go back to having just one vowel. And I played nicer for 14, and I still like that. I liked its distraction value as well as being an additional bingo lane. I'm still behind at this point. Cron, I5. Okay, Cron and Gin doesn't provide any distraction. Now, quite a nice rack for my opponent. He doesn't have a bingo. He plays EX. My rack is looking grim. I'm behind by about 20 points. And I'm looking to get rid of the V and the W. Whoops. So I play Vow for 21, keeping this. And the higher up plays have significantly inferior rack leaves despite scoring a little bit more. So I like my play. My opponent plays If. And I'm still struggling with just the one vowel. Had J1. Oh, well, I would have played that if I'd seen it. That's nice, 30 points. Yeah, and keeping bingo-y tiles. What I did instead was jar for 24. Yeah, keeping 5 consonants, so had definitely a better play. And again, these are where all the vowels are. My opponent changes, and this was an important moment because I really wanted to sort my rack out in one. We're dead level at this point. So I could play Pend or Pep, but I chose Plop, sacrificing the points to keep the best possible rack leave. The remaining tiles pretty bingo-y. Now my opponent does have a bingo, but as a result of keeping the best possible rack, I maximised my chances of having a bingo, and I did. I had Hedonist for 96, which was great, because it meant that finally I had gone into the lead by about 50 points, and there's nothing in the bag, and my opponent is stuck with this heap of crap. He plays a... now, Beam. Not good, because my opponent could have Umas. Well, there's no out in one, and I did find an out in two. I've no idea if it is best. That's confirmation my opponent doesn't have an out. He phonies, and this is my rack, and I play Matt for 15, which was best. So a pretty interesting game. I was behind for a lot of it, and I had a lot of tricky racks with just one vowel, but each time I had such a rack, I tried to do the winningest thing with it, and eventually that paid off with Hedonist at just the right time. So I hope you enjoyed watching that video, and I will see you next time.